Hello everyone, and welcome to the National Endowment for the Humanities webinar, Applying for Digital Projects for the Public. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mark Ruppel from the Division of Public Programs, and I'll be leading you through the endowment support for digital projects and, in particular, for publicly oriented digital work in the Digital Projects for the Public grant line. I'm going to cover a number of topics in this presentation, from a summary of NEH support for digital projects, information about the digital projects for the public grant line, funding levels and requirements for each category, and a broader overview of how to apply to the NEH. Of course, if you need any help or clarification with anything presented, please don't hesitate to reach out to us directly. I'll provide our contact information at the end of the webinar. The NEH is comprised of 6 divisions: the Division of Public Programs, the Home Division for the Digital Projects for the Public grant line, the Division of Preservation and Access, the Office of Digital Humanities, the Division of Education Programs, the Division of Research, and the Office of Challenge Grants. Importantly, each of the divisions listed here also offer funding for the digital projects in the humanities. For example, the Division of Preservation and Access supports digital approaches that ensure the long-term and wide availability of artifacts and resources in the humanities, protecting them against environmental, material, and technological challenges. The Office of Digital Humanities has multiple grant programs that fund project teams experimenting with digital technologies to develop new methodologies for humanities research, teaching and learning, public engagement, and scholarly communications. This includes the study of digital culture from a humanistic perspective and the creation of digital publications, while another major goal of the ODH is to increase capacity of the humanities in applying digital methods. The Division of Education Programs supports activities like seminars and institutes on digital practices in the humanities, or the design of undergraduate coursework in digital humanities work, or digital curriculum and professional development opportunities for K-12 and higher education faculty. The Division of Research Programs, which supports scholarly research that advances knowledge and understanding of the humanities, offers funding for collaborative research projects that incorporate digital methodologies and have outcomes such as born digital publications. And the Office of Challenge Grants, which awards matching funds intended to stimulate additional private, state, and local support for humanities infrastructure. All of the offices and divisions at the endowment fund digital projects and practices in one form or another. I encourage you to reach out to them individually if you'd like to know more. When it comes to the Division of Public Programs, however, we are focused, broadly speaking, on just what our name suggests. We fund humanities projects for a general public, non-specialist audience. These projects must be grounded in scholarship, and they should not be theoretical or jargon-filled, but rather translated and synthesized in a way that allows for the broadest possible reach. They can be single format, such as a film, or multiple formats, such as a museum exhibit that is paired with digital educational content. Our mandate, quite simply, is to meet the general public where they are, be it on television, on a historic battlefield, in the classroom, or on the web. We don't expect that every project can reach everyone. That's an impossible task, but that public programs projects reach their targeted audience through deep engagements with the humanities and with as broad of an impact as possible. No single project can do everything for everyone, but we hope our portfolio as a whole comes close. What we don't do in public programs, and this goes for the whole endowment, is fund projects that advocate for a specific action, policy, or law. We want humanities projects that engage the public with the complexities of the fields, providing perspectives on ourselves, our history, our cultures, and our country. As a taxpayer-funded agency, we simply can't fund projects that work towards persuading someone of a certain point of view or course of action. Again, this applies to both digital projects for the public and all funded projects at the NEH. The NEH's programs are often defined just as much by what they do fund as what they don't fund. In the case of digital projects for the public, we simply need projects that work and work well for a public audience. To do this, We run the gamut of digital technologies in the projects we fund: games, virtual reality, digital environments, mobile apps, interpretive websites, and digital museum installations and kiosks, to name just a few. Diversity is a strength here in both platform and subject matter. There is, however, a big difference between an archive or a preservation project and an interpretive digital public humanities project, one that provides curated pathways or narrative experiences rather than open access to content. Access matters here, of course, a lot, but access isn't the same as interpretation, curation, and storytelling. This difference, as you might guess, is the key to success here in public programs. The Digital Projects for the Public grant opportunity is offered annually in June 9th to be exact, this year. In terms of program statistics, Digital Projects for the Public has been offered annually for 6 years, with an average of 102 applications per cycle and a 14% funding ratio, which translates to somewhere in the range of 14 awards per year. In order to be eligible to apply, you must either be a U.S. nonprofit organization with 501c3 status, a public and 501c3 accredited institution of higher education, a state or local government agency, or a federally recognized Native American tribal government. Individuals, foreign, and for-profit entities are not eligible to apply. There are 3 levels of funding in the Digital Projects for the Public program: discovery, prototyping, and production. I'll offer a quick breakdown of each. Discovery grants are the lowest level of funding that we offer in this grant line, but in many ways, they may very well be the most important. They're designed to fund the exploratory stages of a project, the places where a concept is introduced and is then put through its paces by scholars, practitioners, and media experts. Discovery grants need to start with a subject, such as, for example, the Constitution or the Civil Rights Movement, or an object, such as a book, or a place, a person, or an event. In each case, the grant proposal must include consultation between scholars and producers, the refinement of humanities content, and the analysis of potential platforms for use. The deliverable for this award is the design document that charts the paths forward for the project, both intellectually and technically. Prototyping grants do just what their name suggests: support the creation, testing, and evaluation of a proof of concept prototype. Importantly, you do not need to have received a discovery grant in order to apply for a prototyping grant, nor do you need a prototyping grant to apply for a production grant. The only real prerequisite for a prototyping grant is a design document. With a prototyping grant, activities can include further refinement of humanities content, extensive development work, audience testing and evaluation, and even pre-distribution outreach. The deliverable for this grant is, not surprisingly, a prototype of the project that can lead the project to production. Finally, production grants support the final stages of a project and everything that takes place between prototyping and distribution. This includes building out the project, further testing and evaluation with audiences and scholars, outreach, programming, and distribution. By the end of the production period, the project is finished, distributed, and out in the world. Taking a step back, I'm going to run through a few high-level keys to success in the program, but not before making a big, important point that applies to all of our projects here in public programs. Integrating content expertise into the process of digital design is absolutely crucial, and it will more than likely make or break the project's chances for funding. This means that all digital projects proposals need to assemble a strong and diverse team of scholars to offer guidance on content, as well as to check that the humanities ideas are present in the project at all stages. You'll also want to build clearly defined design strategies, development processes, and learning goals early on, and allow them to guide the project as it moves along. And always keep your focus on your audience, thinking about ways of maximizing the project's impact from the moment a platform and focus is chosen, all the way down to the release date. Even though you have to make a case for a digital project, and that means partially making a case for the platform chosen, again, you have to ensure that your humanities content, the bulk of the narrative section in the proposal, is sound in its scholarship, themes, and framing for the general public. You might have a fantastic idea for using a particular platform, and it may very well be innovative, but it will not get you awarded on its own at the NEH. Content matters here, and alongside it, the teams of humanities experts you assemble are crucial to your success. This extends to all of the funding levels for digital projects for the public. While the platforms, subjects, audiences, and institutions we have funded are quite diverse, there are some commonalities to the way they approach their proposals that are worth sharing. With discovery grants, for instance, we recommend that you start with a subject, a collection, a region, a place, a person. Build a team of experts around that focus. And, as I said earlier, not just the obvious folks. Address the context and the larger issues implicated by your topic. Create a process that allows for these expert voices to become an integral part of the design. And cast a wide net when you do so. But know that discovery proposals aren't fishing expeditions. Have a good grasp of your subject coming in, or at least people who can help you with your subject, and the platforms you might want to potentially use. And reach out to audiences, organizations, and networks who will maximize impact and involve them early on. Prototyping grants, by contrast, sink or swim by their ability to show direction and promise. They aren't as open-ended as discovery grants, even if they are premised on testing and evaluation of platform and concept, and possibly even course correction down the line. Some suggestions to this end. 1. To be successful with a prototyping grant, the design document you submit in your proposal needs to be strong and show consistent integration of humanities contents and themes with the design of the project itself. 2, and this one is simple. Don't bite off more than you can chew in prototyping. While we leave it to you to decide whether to treat the prototype broadly or dig deep into a single aspect of the project, this isn't production. Don't try to do too much. 3, and again, I'm beating the same drum here, interaction and feedback between the content experts and the media team should be present at all major milestones of the prototyping period. It's one thing to say that a project works on a technical level, and another entirely to say that it works on an intellectual level. Production grants, by contrast, need to get to the finish line, and proposals for the production level need to demonstrate an ability to get there. One of the keys to a successful production proposal is the ability to display previous user evaluation and testing, and show us how that fits into the production work being proposed. This is as true for the humanities content as it is for the user experiences of this content, the interactives that define your digital project. Don't be vague with distribution plans. Saying you'll use social media, for example, without any specifics as to how or why or with who isn't enough. And don't overestimate your audience numbers, especially if your outreach plan relies on unconfirmed variables. Be smart enough about what you show, and equally smart about what you don't. A good sample should clearly display the project's humanities ideas alongside core aspects of its design. Focusing on the wow factor of the platform isn't enough, nor is choosing a sample that poorly represents the scope and dynamics of the project. find the middle ground, and walk it confidently. And lastly, this is production. These projects need to be, quote, shovel ready. If we were to hand you a check tomorrow, would we have enough information to avoid any guesswork or speculation? Answering that question is key to success at the production level. In short, to be successful in this grant line, you will need to tell stories within the humanities. Like a film or a podcast or a museum exhibit, digital public humanities projects should consider offering narrative experiences for the audience. While the content itself doesn't need to break any new ground, the way an audience engages with it does, or at least to the degree that the platform offers a new way of interacting with the subject. And a good digital public humanities project doesn't simply provide access to a collection or resource, although this can certainly be a part of it, but rather privileges curation and story pathways that guide the audience towards specific learning goals or takeaways. If you're curious about your fit for a specific program level or have questions about your project's approach to the humanities, please do get in touch. If you'd like to go further than that, though, the NEH is unique as a funder in that program staff is available to read preliminary drafts of proposals for most of our programs. For digital projects for the public, these drafts must be submitted by no later than May 5th, 2021 in order to receive feedback. Preliminary draft review is completely optional and not part of any formal selection and award process. Previous applicants, however, have found this feedback to be quite helpful in strengthening their proposal. Get in touch if you'd like us to take a look at a draft. Please submit all drafts to publicpgms@neh.gov. That's publicpgms@neh.gov. Again, drafts must be submitted by May 5th in order to receive staff feedback. Stepping back for a minute, let's take a look at the process of applying to the NEH. One, and this is probably the most important aspect, is to read the Notice of Funding Opportunity. Really read it. These Notice of Funding Opportunity, or NOFO, offer both requirements for applying to the NEH and the program, but also sound advice on what to do and how to do it to produce a successful proposal. If you're looking just at the required elements, however, you're not going deep enough. And this is a table of the components of a digital projects for the public proposal as found in the NOFO with required, conditionally required, and level-specific requirements listed. Applications must be complete in order to be declared eligible for funding, and incomplete applications will not be considered. Next, make sure you're registered with grants.gov. Grants.gov is its own entity, and we cannot contact them for you nor offer technical advice. Make sure you're ready to apply by June, and get on it now if you haven't already. Having said that, if you have questions about the NEH process, the program, or your proposal, again, do feel free to ask. We are here to help. As I said before, read the NOFO, because each outlined required component of the proposal is paired with specific review criteria. Again, if you're just reading the required elements, you're not going deep enough. This is the same exact review criteria we give our peer reviewers, and as such, familiarizing yourself with it will provide you with insight into the peer review process, as well as guidance for how to frame the various components of the proposal. And here's the narrative guidance as it looks in the NOFO and links to the review criteria. Next, know your audience. Your proposal should display a knowledge of the field and a handle of how to translate it for the public, but you should also not assume anything about the expertise of the reviewers themselves looking at your application. We recruit both subject area experts and media experts, and while their expertise will likely intersect with your work, you can't assume they directly know your topic or approach in depth. Make sure that the language and ideas included in the proposal are accessible to these reviewers and are free from jargon. And finally, we offer sample proposals from each grant level to read on the landing page for each grant program. Scrolling down on the program page under Step 1, you'll find a number of sample proposals for each level. These are not, however, to be viewed as all-encompassing or as templates for an application, but rather, we hope that the samples provide a decent idea of a range of successful approaches to crafting a successful proposal. There's no one-size-fits-all proposal, but successful approaches to elements such as a project's engagement with the humanities content, the level of detail provided for the chosen platform, and things like audience distribution plans are highlighted here. Applicants often find the sample useful tools for honing their proposals. One last suggestion. Do some research on your own. The NEH-funded projects query form offers a comprehensive way of searching for funded projects by division, program, keywords, and subject area. Take advantage of it to see if your topic has been covered already, or to see what approaches other awardees have used to your platform. While you can't access the proposals themselves, the system does allow you a good sense of the trajectories of the program, traditionally funded projects, and subject area, coverage, and focus of specific institutions and programs. And this is the funded projects query form with multiple sorting fields. And this is the type of result it produces, which gives the program the project was funded through, fields the project may address, and a short description of the proposed work of the award. We're almost done here, but just a quick rundown of the process of submitting to the NEH itself. Applications must be submitted for a single grant program. You cannot apply for the same project and the same activities to two different programs. In other words, you can't try to double or triple your chances here. Pick a program and stick with it. Once you submit, we sort the applications by subject and media type, and reviewers are recruited to evaluate them. We aim to have a mix of scholars and practitioners, usually 3 scholars with subject expertise that should intersect with your project, and 2 practitioners who have a background in the types of platforms under consideration, be it games or virtual reality, or mobile apps or museum installations. Reviewers will then read the proposals and offer preliminary grades and comments online, after which we convene review panels for discussion and the taking of final ratings. From there, division staff makes recommendations, which are then passed up to our National Council on the Humanities, a body of 26 private citizens appointed by the President and confirmed by the Senate, who offer us advice on our applications and programs. We meet with the National Council 3 times annually, and each time they make recommendations based on our own recommendations to the chairman, who has the final say in all of the funding decisions. Again, the deadline for digital projects for the public is June 9th, 2021, with the announcement of awards occurring in December after the conclusion of this process. And to emphasize the point one last time, the NEH prides itself on the accessibility and availability of its staff. Put simply, we are here to help. Whether it's questions about the grant program or the eligibility of your project or organization, reach out to us if you need anything. Thanks so very much, everyone. Please stay safe and do let us know how we can help further. Take care.